Hello everyone. I wanted to quickly preface this podcast video by saying a couple of times I mention some vlog footage that I was going to attach to the end of this video, but all of that footage is at home. I'm currently in Canberra and I just wanted to get this video done and upload it to you guys. So all of that vlog footage I'm going to include in the next podcast video because there's a lot there that I wanted to show you from like steam blocking garments and things like that. So I'm going to include that at the end of my next podcast. I also just wanted to say I'm really sorry for any construction noise that is in the background of this video. I was planning on refilming it next week when I got home from Canberra, but I put a little poll on my Instagram and you guys wanted me to just upload this version of the video anyway. So here it is. I hope you enjoy. I hope the construction noise isn't too distracting. I'm really going to try and invest in a mic fairly soon to hopefully minimize any of that background noise. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello everybody, welcome back to Hayley's Space. My name is Hayley and I'm a nurse and knitter from Melbourne, Australia, and this is another episode of my knitting podcast. I'm so excited to be podcasting this week. So much has happened this past month and I'm so excited to sit down and recap not only all my knits but everything else that's been going on. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Last time I podcasted, I think there was about 600 of you, and now it's over 1,000. So thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed, who have been commenting and liking the videos and having a chat with me on Instagram as well. That's been really awesome. So thank you so much. I'm so happy that I started this channel. It's almost a year now since I posted my first podcast episode, and I'm so grateful to have met so many like-minded people in the knitting and crafting community because of it. I have no other words to say to express how thankful and grateful I am and so happy I am to be a part of this community. So thank you to each and every single one of you. I really mean it, and it means the world to have you all here watching these videos. Hitting this milestone has made me feel so energized and excited about my knitting and my crafting, and even more excited to keep on sharing what I've been making. So with that being said, I follow a traditional podcast format with finished objects, works in progress, and then acquisitions and plans with a little bit of knit and chat sporadically spread throughout there. I hope that you enjoy. Grab yourself something nice to drink. I have a peppermint tea. It is way too hot. I literally just poured it out of the kettle. So I've got my tea, grab something nice to drink, something nice to eat, and let's crack on with it. As always, I'm going to start with a little bit of a life update. I'm not going to knit whilst I talk because my whips are all a little bit technical, so I haven't got any relaxed stockinette to knit on whilst I talk. But if you don't know, if you're new here, I'm currently doing my honours degree in nursing, so that's just a 1-year degree tacked onto your bachelor's where you kind of get some experience in the research field. So I'm currently doing that and working on my research project. So I've been studying a lot, as always. And knitting has always been a way for me to de-stress and deprogram and compartmentalize my life. And I am needing it now more than ever. Hence why I'm doing a lot of it. I'm just taking my study one day at a time and filling my free time with knitting because it helps me not be anxious and stressed. So last time I talked to you was just before I went to the second craft cinema night, I should say, organised by So Hooked Crochet. And I went to the double feature where they were showing Princess Diaries and Devil Wears Prada, and it was so much fun. I shared quite a bit over on my Instagram, some pictures and videos from that night, and there's some clips from it at the end in a little vlog that I've got at the end of this video that you'll see. But it was so fun. It was so nice to sit in a cinema with other crafters crafting during the movies, because I do take my knitting to the cinema. So to sit in a cinema with a bunch of other crafters who are also doing the same thing made me feel really happy. I will link all the craft cinema night information down below, but also if you're living in South Australia, Ali from Fiberbound is organising a craft cinema night style thing in Adelaide. So I'll link all the information for that down below. I'll also put it here because I know So Hooked Crochet did one in Hobart as well, in Tasmania, and I think maybe there was one in Sydney. I'm not 100% sure. So if you're in South Australia and you feel like you're missing out, Ali has organised one for you guys over there. So yeah, that was Craft Cinema Night. I'm so excited to be able to go to more in the future. But if you missed it as well, I also went to the Australian Sheep and Wool Show in Bendigo. I'll link the vlog somewhere. I'm sure you've seen it, but if you haven't, go check it out because that has all the information for the sheep show and everything that I did over there. But I just wanted to say that I had the best time, like the best time. I felt so inspired seeing all of the beautiful yarn and also meeting some other crafters. I met Ali from Fiberbound and Kath from Mindful Melbourne Maker, and oh my god, my heart was so full meeting those two. I felt so starstruck at first, and then when I finally got to decompress later on in the day, I just it makes me emotional because it makes me really happy that I've found a wonderful community of like-minded knitters and crafters, and so to meet them just kind of solidified that for me. So yeah, the sheep show was good fun, and if you missed the vlog, it's linked down below so you can watch that and see everything I did. I do have some acquisitions that I'm going to share in the acquisitions section of this video that I already shared in the vlog, so bit of a double up, but I wanted to share it anyway. Then I flew to Perth to visit my family, and I vlogged that as well. So that's also linked down below if you want to watch that. It was so nice to go and spend some time with my family. It's really hard living on the other side of the country away from my parents and my brother. So it's nice to be able to go over there, even if it's for a short time, just to see them and spend time with them. I miss them a lot. Whilst I was over there, I finished a bunch of things and started a bunch of things, and lots happened. So go check out that vlog, but I also mentioned some of the projects here that I managed to finish and work on. Then on my way back from Perth, I stopped over in Canberra to go to a military dinner that my partner was involved in. He's about to graduate actually in a couple of weeks' time from the military college in Canberra, and he's just got his next posting. So all exciting things happening, but I went over to Canberra to go to that dinner. And whilst that was the main reason why I was there, I also used it as an excuse to meet up with Morgan from Morgan Unraveled and our friend Mickey, and I had such a wonderful time. We met up for dinner and we had pizza in the centre of town, and we brought our knitting and just spent the time knitting and chatting, and it was so lovely. They are cutting down trees outside, so if you can hear the trucks and the chainsaws and everything going on, I'm so sorry. They've been doing this work for the last 2 weeks and it just takes so long, so I just couldn't wait for them to be done. Being able to connect with Morgan and Mickey online because of this channel and my Instagram just has been the most wonderful experience, and I just can't wait to keep making more knitting friends. It's so cool. I am going back to Canberra next week, and we're planning another catch up because we do have a buddy knit planned, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, I had a break because there was beeping and trucks were reversing and they're still doing it. Anyway, it's fine. We're just gonna keep going. Let's talk about some finished objects. The first finished object I have to show you is actually my finished Sophie shawl. This was a whip in the last podcast, and I cast it off in the middle of the month, really, a couple of weeks after I filmed that podcast. I'll put some better pictures and videos in here of the actual scarf itself because you can't really see it. But I made this using Plurtalope by Iztex using a 5mm needle, and this is the Heathered Oatmeal colorway. Now, if you've seen the Sophie scarf go around, the Sophie shawl is just a larger version of that, so it's just a garter stitch shawl with some increases on the one side and some I-cord edging. And I cast on this project with the intention of using up all that I had left of my Plurtalope in this colorway, and I managed to do that. I will put a picture here of how much yarn I had left, but I used up every single last scrap. Basically, I cast on and then knit until I had half of the yarn left, and then did the decreases on the other side. And yeah, I think it was about 2 grams that I had left over. I was a little bit worried that the shawl was coming out too wide last episode, but I didn't realize that I was literally almost halfway through. I hadn't weighed it yet. And so I was about here, and I was like, oh, if I have a lot more to go, it's going to get way too wide and I'm not going to like it. But it's actually the perfect width. You know what? I'm going to try it on. I can actually wrap it around more than once. When I was in Canberra, I had it wrapped around just once and it looked really cute. But if I adjust it, I can wrap it around twice and it's perfect. It's like the perfect volume on my neck, and it's so cozy. I was worried about there being too much fabric. I think that's what I was concerned about with it being too wide, was I didn't want it to be too chunky here. But I'm so proud of it, and it's it's exactly what I wanted it to look like and to feel like. The I-cord edges are one of my favorite details of this shawl, and you'll see that I incorporated it into another one of my projects. But I just love I-cord. I love doing it. I love I-cord bind off. I love the way that it looks in the finished projects. Everything about I-cord, I don't know what it is. It's lovely. So I'm really, really happy with that feature of this project. Because the pletalopi is unspun 100% Icelandic wool, it is very rustic and it is very scratchy. So if you have sensitive skin, I wouldn't suggest using this for a scarf, but I don't mind it. And I actually find pletalopi, when it's washed, softens up so much, and it's so plush and squishy and beautiful. But yeah, I think even still after washing, if you do have sensitive skin, pletalopi is probably not the one for you. But I absolutely love it. I love the rustic look and the rustic texture. Now I have about 50 grams left of pletalopi in the Heathered Marsh colorway, which I used to knit up a step-by-step sweater in the last episode. And I'm not too sure what to do with it. So please leave some suggestions down below on what I should do with 50 grams of pletalopi. I really am at a loss for what I should actually cast on with that yarn. I'm okay with it just sitting in my stash, but I would like to use it for something at some point, because I have had a lot of pletalopi in my stash for a long time. I don't think I have much else to say about my Sophie shawl. I'm really, really proud of it. I've taken it away on multiple holidays with me. I wore it in Bendigo, which made my heart really happy to have this done in time to take with me. And yeah, I'm just really proud of it. I guess then, staying in the realm of scarves, you would have seen this one as a work in progress in my last episode, but this is a scrappy scarf that I cast off. So this is a self-drafted scarf that I knit up using a mix of like acrylic and wool and just random yarns that I had in my stash that were all green or cream. And I just cast on a stockinette scarf and just decided to just knit the colors randomly until I ran out, and then I'll start a new color kind of thing. And I love it. I cast this off the same day as my Sophie shawl, I think it was the same day, or maybe it was a couple days later, something like that. There's vlog footage at the end, you'll see. But yeah, so it was stockinette with the same I-cord edging that was from the Sophie shawl, because I was really, really inspired and really loved it, and just wanted to see what it would look like with the stockinette. So I used a 5mm needle for this one, but obviously with stockinette you get the curling, and you can probably see it a little bit here. And I didn't own an iron. I kind of yapped a little bit about this in the last episode, but my acrylic based garments haven't really been blocking out very well with wet blocking. So I needed to buy an iron, and this scarf was what finally did it for me. So I went and just got a cheap iron from Kmart, and I steam blocked it, and it actually worked quite well with the curling of the stockinette. I think the steaming in conjunction with the I-cord edges really, really helped. So I'll try it on for you because you can kind of see it. It's less obviously squishy and plush compared to my Sophie shawl, because it's obviously less fabric. But I've been wearing this one when I've been walking from my car to work in the early cold winter mornings, and yeah, it's been perfect. It's giving me all of the Molly Weasley scrappy knitting vibes that I wanted from it. So yeah, I'm happy with this one. It's just an easy throw on scrappy scarf, and it means I've got some weird yarns out of my stash that I didn't know what to do with. So happy with that one. All right, the next finished object I have to show you is a baby bear bonnet. You will have seen this as a whip in the previous episode as well. This is a pattern by Knitting for Olive, and I have knit this pattern once before in a larger size with an acrylic yarn, but I wanted to knit up a smaller size, and so this is using Cleckheaton 100% nylon. I think it's called baby yarn, just in this really cute pink color, and I used a 4mm needle for this one. In the last episode, I think I only had the I-cord bind off and I-cord ties and also the ears left to do, so I kind of picked this one up on a random day when I had, you know, finish it energy, and got it cast off, and it's just so cute. It's so cute. This is the second size, and I'm obsessed with it. This is going into my baby knit stash for my future children, and I can't wait to see them wearing it. I've said a lot about this pattern the last time I made it, so I won't really say too much here, but I do love the way the German short rows came out at the back. I think it's the perfect little baby knit pattern, and I think if you're thinking of casting it on, I think you should just go for it because it's just super cute. And who wouldn't want to see their baby wearing that? Like, please. I can't wait. It's so cute. So yeah, that was another finished object. Really happy to have that one off the needles as well. All right, the last finished object that I actually have here in my hands to show you is some socks that I cast on for Sock Week this year. So Sock Week is a challenge organised by Knitty Natty, who also has a YouTube channel here, and she also shares on Instagram as well. I'll link her Sock Week vlog down below because she's currently doing like a van life travel around the States. And I just think that's super, super cool. So I'll link her Sock Week video down below. But basically the challenge is to knit up a sock or more than one sock in a week. And there's like a little schedule. So Sunday, you know, you cast on and you do the cuff. And then Monday and Tuesday you do the leg, and so on and so forth for the week. And so I cast on the Sunday because I was having a Harry Potter marathon with my friends. And I thought, you know what, it would be lucky if I get through one sock this week and I'll be happy, and I'll go in the challenge and I'll submit it on Ravelry, and you know, it's all a bit of fun. I'll share it on Instagram. It'll be great. But I ended up actually finishing the pair. So these are the socks. If you have followed me on Instagram, you will have seen a lot of these socks because I posted a lot during Sock Week. I also have a highlight on Instagram called Sock Week, and that has all of my story posts about these socks as well. But these are self-drafted socks. So I used Fluff and Nonsense yarn, their BFL sock base in the colorway Oyster. And I met Tess from Fluff and Nonsense at the Sheep and Wool show, and I bought this yarn from her on the very last day. She didn't have much left, which is great, but I kind of was tossing up between them all, and she kind of helped me pick. And this was the first pair of fingering socks that I have actually cast off and finished. I've got one in the works at the moment, which I'll show you. But yeah, these are my first ever fingering weight socks, which is awesome. So I will link my Ravelry page down below as well for these socks, because that has like all the information of my cast on and stitch counts and all of that jazz, if you feel like following it. But yeah, I used a 3mm needle to cast on 66 stitches. I think if I'm going to use a 3mm needle for fingering weight socks again, I will definitely cast on less stitches than that. I thought that would be okay based on my gauge, but they have ended up being quite a bit looser than I intended, which is fine. I'm just going to use them really as house and bed socks. But yeah, I cast on 66 stitches. I did half twisted rib for the cuff, and then I did a slip stitch heel and gusset, and then I just did a round toe for the toe. That's my favorite way of doing toes so far. I've never done any other toe or heel construction, and I don't really intend to anytime soon, because I love the way that this foot fits, if that makes sense. So I don't intend to change that anytime soon. These have not been blocked yet because I finished them on the plane on the way to Perth. So really they've only sagged out a bit because I've worn them. So they do need a wash now because they've been worn to death. But I think I won't need to properly block them anymore because they definitely have stretched out to fit my foot now. The yarn is so incredibly soft even without washing, and so I'll link Fluff and Nonsense's store down below. I'm not sure if it's still going on. She had a post Bendigo sale going on to sell a lot of the stock that she had left, but she's also got her advent calendar that's going to be coming out soon. So if you like the look of the yarn, feel free to go check Fluff and Nonsense out. But I use exactly 50 grams of the 100 gram skein. So I have exactly 50 grams left over, and I don't really know what to do with it. I was thinking, maybe I'll make another pair of socks, but part of me also wants to make something else with it. So if you have any suggestions of what I can do with 50 grams of fingering weight yarn, you're probably like, only socks, Hayley, like what are you talking about? But if you have any suggestions that aren't socks, please let me know. I could probably hold this with like a mohair or something. I don't know what I would get out of that, so let me know. So yeah, those are my Sock Week socks for 2024. I know that there's a bit of pooling of the colors and some striping, but I love that. And I think it's kind of intended to be like that. And I am happy that it's done that. I spent a lot of time at the sheep and wool show looking for self-striping yarn, but didn't find any that I liked. And because I've heard now that self-striping yarn is very hard to come by, you kind of have to get in quickly to get some. That's probably why that I couldn't find any. So when I started knitting this up and it started striping, I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I secretly found self-striping sock yarn. But really, I think it was just the color pooling and my gauge and everything, and I am happy that it came out that way because that's what I wanted my socks to look like. So yeah, I'm really happy with those. Really, really happy. I'm going to give them a wash today so that I can keep wearing them at home. Okay, I have 3 more finished objects to share with you that I don't actually have here with me because they were all gift knits. So the first one you would have seen in the last podcast episode, I was knitting on a sweater for my boyfriend for his birthday, and I was knitting up the Justin's Flannel by Alicia Plummer, and I have the yarn here because what happened was I went to Spotlight to buy some more yarn because I'd run out, and turns out the yarn I was using, which was Cleckheaton Country Naturals 8-ply, which is 100% wool, turns out it was discontinued in the colorway that I was using, which was this tweedy blue colorway, which I was obsessed with and I knew he was going to like. And so after that whole drama, I ended up just buying a whole new sweater's quantity of a different type of yarn, and I actually ended up casting on a different pattern. So in order to get his sweater finished in time to mail to him for his birthday, I knew I had to do a stockinette sweater, something that was a little bit easier and from a pattern designer I knew I could trust. So I got the Northland sweater pattern by Petite Knit, which is a stockinette sweater pattern, top down, seamless construction. You do shoulder increases. I don't think it's a saddle shoulder. If you know what type of construction this is, please let me know in the comments below. But you do increases for the shoulder, and then you also do some raglan increases to shape for the armholes as well. And I knit this up using Scandi wool from Annette Erikson in the color dark grey. My boyfriend likes sort of dark navies, blues, greys, things like that. So I knew this grey was going to be a good choice for his sweater. It's 50% acrylic and 50% wool. I was looking for a 100% wool yarn, but Spotlight's selection is very limited at the moment. I don't know why that is, but yeah, so I had to go with a 50% acrylic, which is fine because it means that if it gets dirty, you know, he's in the army, like he's gonna wear his clothes to death. So if it gets dirty, it's not a problem, it's easy to wash. So that's good, that's the benefit. So to get the sizing for this sweater, I used a sweater that I had of his in the closet and just used the bust measurement from that sweater to pick the size. And then I also used that to gauge how long the sleeves and the body needed to be. And that worked really well. This sweater really flew off my needles. I was in a rush to get it done on time so that I could send it to him. But also I was just enjoying the pattern and enjoying the process, which was awesome. It made my heart really happy that even though I was in a rush and a little bit stressed about getting it done on time, I still enjoyed the process, because that's the point, right? If I'm gifting something, I want to gift something that I've enjoyed making. So that made me really happy. So yeah, really, really easy pattern to follow. Petite Knit's patterns are always super clear, super beginner friendly. If you're a beginner and you're looking for some really decent paid patterns, Petite Knit is a really good place to start. Now, I sent him the sweater on time. Again, some footage in the vlog at the end. But I sent it to him on time and he got it when he got back from outfield, and he tried it on for me and the body is too short. It could pass when he's standing up, but when he sits down, it sort of rides up at the back. So I definitely need to pick up stitches and knit the body longer. And I'm going to do that when I go to Canberra next week to see him. I'm going to say, bring me that sweater to the hotel, and I'm going to cast on some stitches and knit the body a lot longer so that he can actually wear it. So despite the body being too short, it was a pleasure to knit. I don't have any pictures or videos of him wearing it because, again, he lives in a different state and also it's too short. So when I fix it next week, I will take some pictures and videos and share them over on my Instagram. But I'm really happy with this yarn. I think it was a great choice for this sweater. So yeah, I would recommend this yarn if you need something that's affordable and accessible here in Australia. I think all of the Scandi yarns from Annette Erikson are pretty decent. So speaking of Scandi yarns, the next finished object I have to share, which I don't physically have to show you, is a beanie that I knit up for my dad. I knit up the Crofting in Scotland pattern by Bunny Muff, and I used the Scandi Soft yarn from Annette Erikson, which is, I think, what are you? 80% acrylic, 20% wool. So when I was in Perth, my dad asked me to knit him a colourwork Scandi style beanie, is what he called it. He wanted something a tight gauge with colourwork, and he sent me a lot of inspiration pictures. He picked the Crofting in Scotland pattern by Bunny Muff off of my Ravelry, and I knit this up using a 3.5mm needle. And whilst the pattern suggests using 4 colours for the colourwork, I decided on 3. And that was because with the pattern pictures, I found that the colourwork looked a little bit, I guess, messy and muddy, and I felt like a lot of the colourwork design actually got lost in the volume of colours that were there. So he went to Spotlight and he FaceTimed me from Spotlight, bless his soul, and he picked out these 3 colours. I only have the ball band for this one. This is the colour denim, but I will link these down below on Spotlight's website so you can see what colours these 2 are. And I used the grey sort of as the main colour for the ribbing and everything, the blue as the accent colour, and the white, or cream I should say, for the colourwork portions. And he really wanted a pom-pom on the top, so I did that as well. And whilst I cast it on when I was there, I didn't think I was actually going to finish it whilst I was still there. I thought I was going to have to send it to him in the mail, possibly for Father's Day or something, but I actually cast it off in about 2 days. I find colourwork really, really satisfying and enjoyable to knit. I find it really exciting. I like the idea of having a beautiful finished object that's like, almost like an art piece of this change of colors in this pattern that you've created with your knitting. I think as you're knitting it and then you slowly see the colourwork come together, and it's, oh, I could rave about it all day. I love colourwork. I was talking to Morgan and Mickey when I saw them about like our knitting things, and Morgan was saying her thing is definitely cables, Mickey's is definitely lace, and I think my knitting thing is colourwork. I just love it so, so much. If you want to see more of the process of me knitting up this beanie, definitely go check out my Perth vlog because I filmed a fair amount of it over there. But my dad intends to wear this beanie when he goes to the USA next year with my brother. They're going on a hiking trip. They're going to like Yosemite and all of those fun places. So he wanted a beanie for that trip. It was, I think, my first time making a pom-pom since I was about 10 years old. And that was an experience. It was easy to follow the tutorial, but I feel like it's easier as a kid. I guess maybe I'm being a bit of a perfectionist nowadays, but you know, trimming the pom-pom at the end took me forever, and like sewing it on, I like tied it 15 million times. So it was a little bit stressful because I just really didn't want the pom-pom to come off, but he loves it. He doesn't care about any of the imperfections. He's just happy to have a beanie. He actually sent me a selfie this morning of him wearing it to work this morning because it was too cold. So bless. I'm glad that he loves it. That's the one thing about gift knitting. I love making people gifts, but there's always that fear that they don't necessarily want it or need it, and so they won't use it. But it's fine. I enjoy the process, and so when you see someone enjoying something you've worked so hard to make, it makes my heart really happy. My brother wants a matching beanie, like the same pattern, just different colors. So I guess I'll drop a little acquisition in here for you. So my dad's beanie was with the blue as the accent color, and my brother wants it with this rust color, which I think is called sienna. Yeah. So where the blue is on my dad's beanie, he wants the orange rusty color, which I think is just going to be so cute with their little mismatched matchy beanies in America. I think that's going to be adorable. I'm really keen to knit up some more colourwork, especially colourwork sweaters. So prepare to see some more colourwork on this channel because I'm obsessed. Speaking of colour work, I have another cast on and off that I made whilst I was in Perth. I have no pictures and videos of it because I completely forgot that I was documenting the things I was making. I filmed myself a little bit knitting it up, but I didn't take any finished object pictures or anything. My mum's going to try and get the beanie to take some pictures of, but it was a gift knit for my nan. So my nan used to knit, but unfortunately she's got arthritis in her hands, so she can't knit anymore. And she went to an op shop the other week and found some yarn and decided to give it to me to knit something of. And so obviously I had to knit something for her. So the pattern is, it's the Quick Ombre Hat by Emily Dormier. I think that's how you say it. I'll link the pattern down below as well. It was a free pattern on Ravelry. And as it said, it's just an ombre hat. And I knit it up using the yarn that my nan bought for me. So the first colour I used was the pattern's Totem 8 ply, and this is the colour, colour 1805. I have no idea if they still make this yarn. I have no idea like how old it is, but this was the first colour, and then I paired it with just 4 Seasons Superwash Merino 8 ply. This is, what colour is this? Oh, it's just a colour number, I think. Oh no, Ecru, I think is what it is. I've got no idea. Anyway, 100% superwash merino wool. So I used those 2 colours to knit up the beanie and gave it to her on the Sunday when she came around for Sunday roast lunch. And yeah, she was happy with it. If my mum has gotten pictures before this podcast goes up, I will put one here. If not, check out my Instagram because once I get a picture, I will hopefully post it there. The pattern was super easy to follow. If you're a beginner and you want to get into colour work, I definitely suggest this pattern. It doesn't really teach you how to do colour work, but it will help you with reading charts and understanding how to carry your floats and things like that. So definitely check that one out. And the fact that it's free is an added bonus as well. I definitely think the beanie could have used a pom-pom, but I know that's not my nan's style. So if I do knit this up again, which I'm planning on doing because I kind of want one for myself, I will put a pom-pom on it. Okay, those are all my knitted finished objects I have to share. I think. I have a feeling I'm forgetting something, but I don't really know what that is. But I do have a sewing finished object to show you, and it is nice and tiny. It is this notions pouch that I made for myself. I followed a tutorial on YouTube. I'll link it down below, just for a drawstring bag pattern. And I made it using some Disney themed quilting squares that I had, which were from Aldi a long time ago, I think during COVID. And I made the drawstrings just crocheting a chain, and then I tied them together. I don't know if you can see, there's a little knot in there. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this came out. It was before I went to Bendigo. It was literally the day before. And I thought, oh, I'll take all my knitting stuff with me, but my notions don't really have a place to live, like my stitch markers and my darning needles and needle stoppers and stuff. So yeah, the tutorial was super easy to follow. Sometimes I find YouTube tutorials for sewing really difficult because they go, oh yeah, measure this part at this length and this part. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes I find it difficult to follow without a physical actual pattern. But this one was really super easy. It's literally a rectangle that you then sew up into a bag. So I'm really happy with that one. I actually made 2 more for my friend Meg, who came to the show with me as a thank you for coming with me, using some Winnie the Pooh fabric. I think I have some pictures of it, so I'll put them here. I think I also might have clips of it that I'll put at the end as well. But I made a big one for her sock projects and then a smaller one for all of her notions and stuff, because she loves honey, she loves honeybees, she loves Winnie the Pooh, so I thought that was the perfect gift. So yeah, that's my last finished object for this podcast. I think I'm gonna need to set up like a podcasting corner because sitting on the floor is not working anymore. My legs are so sore. I don't know how in primary school we sat for assembly for literally an hour on the floor. That's probably why my hips are so sore, because we used to have to do this every week for an hour. Okay, only 3 works in progress to share this week. And we're going to start with the biggest one. It's all scrunched up because it's been living in a project bag that's way too small for it. And it is now getting just too large. This is my book club cardigan by Sari, Nordland. I'm knitting this as part of a knit along. I'll include the details for the knit along down below. The knit along is actually ending on August 10th, so I don't think I'm going to have this done in time, but that's okay. I'm not stressed about it. I will tell you who organised the knit along though. It's Sarah from Two Pearls in a Pod, Sandra from Enso Knit on Instagram, and I think it's Matilda from Nestled in Knits. So there's quite a few people doing this knit along, and a lot of people have actually finished their cardigans. I know Morgan, by the time this video goes up, will have probably finished it. She's knitting on the pockets right now as I'm talking. So a lot of people have already finished, but I have just joined the front and the back panels, and I've knit maybe 10 rows, I think, on the body. So really not much progress at all. Cables I find a little bit challenging for me. It's definitely a knitting challenge for me. I do want to get better at cables and faster at cables, but at the moment I am still quite slow. So this project is quite slow moving for me. Last time I spoke about how I had actually picked up the stitches for the size below for the shoulders, for the front panels. And basically what I planned to do was just keep knitting at the size below and then increase till I match the stitch count of the size that it's intended to be. So I'm still doing that. I'm still working on the neckline increases, and I'm going to continue those as I work on the body. There's actually a note in the pattern that says if you have not finished your increases by the time the panels are, you know, this certain length, just work the increases in as you're doing the body. So that's what I'm doing until I reach the suggested stitch count for my size. My size is a size 3, by the way, so I picked up the stitches for the size 2. And yeah, that's working out fine. It's still looking great. I'm in love with how the cables look, and I really want this as a sweater. I would love to have these cables as a sweater and maybe knit matching ones for me and my boyfriend. I think that would just be super cute. But for now, I'm excited to have this cardigan. The yarn I'm using is Lincraft. It's called their Shadow Marble yarn. It's 69% polyester. I think it's 22% acrylic and then 9% wool. That sounds about right. So just a really super easy, affordable yarn that you can get from Lincraft. As I said though, I don't think I'm gonna have this done by the deadline. That's literally 10 days away from now. I'm happy to just have it on my needles and work on it over time. I'm enjoying the pattern and I enjoy the process, which is a good thing, and hopefully that means I'll have this as a finished object sometime this year. Okay, so that was my book club cardigan. The second whip I have to show you, if you've seen my Bendigo vlog, you will have already seen, and they are my petal drop socks by Handmade by Florence. So I cast the petal drop socks on I think a couple days before I left for Bendigo with the intention of them being my Bendigo whip. Something for me to work on whilst we were traveling around, to knit on at the show, things like that. And it was the first time that I had ever knit with fingering weight yarn, and the first time I've ever knit with 9-inch circulars, and the first time I've ever knit a lace pattern. So these are my sock of firsts, and I actually cast off the first sock last night. So here it is. Oh, it's got my hair on it, sorry. My hair gets everywhere. This is the first sock. This is using Rosarios for Meia, and I just think it's stunning. I don't have any sock blockers. I have some DIY ones made out of cardboard, which have actually sort of, they're not in action anymore. So I really want to get a pair of sock blockers, mainly so I can show you guys socks that aren't all shriveled. But anyway, these are the socks. I'm using a 2.5mm needle, and the pattern is so easy to follow. Again, if you're a beginner at lacework or at socks, Handmade by Florence's pattern is a great one to follow. She also has really good beginner sweater patterns. I think it's the step-by-step sweater and also the step-by-step cardigan are great beginner patterns. So if you want to try, if you're a, adventurous beginner, you want to try lace knitting socks, definitely check out this pattern. It's so beautifully written and so easy to follow. It's got a slip stitch heel construction with a gusset as well and a round toe, which are all my favorite things, as I've just mentioned. And yeah, the lace work runs from the leg all the way down the front of the sock, and then you've just got stockinette on the back there. And I think this yarn really, really complements this pattern. I think the yarn's able to shine through in both the ribbing, the lace, and also the stockinette as well. And I'm in love with it. It's so, so soft. It's so plush and squishy. Even just feeling it like in the ball is just so, so squishy. So good choices on my part. I did make a mistake in the lace pattern at the start when I was doing the leg, and I only corrected it. When did I correct it? I think just before I got to the heel. Basically, in the pattern, when it was telling me to slip, slip, knit at some points, I was knitting two together, and I thought I had it memorized, and I was like, oh yeah, this is super easy, you know, we're just, you know, knitting along. And then I realized that it was wrong. But I think if you're not a knitter and you're not looking that close at the sock, you wouldn't be able to tell. I think if someone was looking at my feet and at my socks that closely, like you really have to look, I would be concerned. I would be worried if someone was looking that closely at my feet. So I think it's okay. I just kept going. I was like, you know, I'll correct it and I'll just keep going it and doing it correctly. And yeah, it's come out beautifully. Oh, look at that sock. I'm so, so proud. And these socks are so soft. I've already obviously tried this one on and it's perfect. It's perfect. If I was a Birkenstock wearer, I would knit all the lace socks because I think that's just, that style is just so cute. So yeah, loving these. I have cast on the next one here. It's my way of preventing second sock syndrome, is just casting it on as soon as the first one is cast off. Like literally I snipped the yarn after I weaved in the ends and cast this on. So I've done one row last night. My experience with 9-inch circulars has actually been wonderful. Morgan from Morgan Unraveled actually suggested that I try them because I was kind of contemplating it but wasn't sure how I would go, because when I knit I grip it with my whole hand. I don't know why, it's just the way I knit. So knitting with the 9-inch circulars has definitely been a bit of a challenge, but I like that. I like being challenged. I like challenging my brain, and so I think I'm just having just a great time. I did work the heel flap and gusset and the heel turn and everything on the 9-inch circulars whilst I was in Bendigo, because I didn't have any longer cables or longer needles to use, and I wouldn't recommend that. It was very, very fiddly. It worked, but very fiddly. So I would suggest doing magic loop or working on DPNs for the heel flap and the heel turn and the gusset as well. Just make your life easier. Don't struggle like me. But yeah, that's the second sock cast on. Hopefully I'll have a pair of socks to show you in the next podcast. I'm so excited about these. I'm so proud. I just can't believe I've come so far as a knitter that I'm now knitting real finger wing make socks with a 9-inch circular needle. Who is she? She's a real knitter. I do have to say that my hands and my fingers do get quite sore, especially now in the middle of winter. It's freezing cold. My hands get really cold and achy. And so I have been incorporating lots of breaks and stretching into my knitting routine. As I said earlier, my free time is completely filled with knitting. I don't really do anything else but work, study and knit. So knitting breaks and also stretches have been really helping lately. So remember to take care of your hands, especially if you're working on tiny, tiny circumferences. All right, let's talk acquisitions and plans, because I have quite a few. Now, to prevent myself sounding like a broken record, I'm not going to talk too much about the yarn that I bought in Bendigo. I'm just going to briefly mention it here because I don't want to be repeating myself. It's not enjoyable for you guys. But the first thing I got in Bendigo was this Fiddlesticks Jester 4-ply sock yarn. So it's, what are you? 75% superwash and 25% polyamide. And this is like a self-sterile pattern sock. So I'll put a picture here of what the sock will actually look like. But yeah, you knit it up and it makes a fair isle pattern for you, which I think is super, super cool. And I'm really happy that I have this yarn in my stash now. I need to do a gauge swatch to work out what needle size I need to use in order to actually get the patterning. Because if my gauge is off, the pattern's going to be off. So I want to do that sometime soon. But yeah, this is the brown aqua colorway and I love it. So yeah, that's in my stash now. We went to Bendigo Woolen Mills whilst we were in Bendigo, and I did buy some yarn, of course. This was from their back room, which I now know is stuff that's not always available on their website. I didn't know that before. So I did mention some things I think in my Bendigo vlog that aren't actually available on their site. And I believe this is one of them. This is their 5-ply 100% wool crepe in the color driftwood mix. And I got 2 balls of this one. They're 200 grams per ball. So I got 2 of these, and I'm intending to make like a very loose gauge jumper with this. But yeah, I'm going to gauge swatch the needle size that I'm thinking of using and find a pattern for it. And yeah, I don't know when I'll actually cast this on, but I'm really excited to have some Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn in my stash. I do want to buy more from Bendigo Woolen Mills. I think their yarns are beautiful and beautifully made and accessible, which is another important thing here in Melbourne, is to have accessible yarn. So I think that's really cool, and I'm really happy to have that in my stash as well. Now, also at the show, there was a yarn passport challenge competition going around. So this was organised by Dear Prue. I'll link all of her information down below as well. But she was selling these yarn passports, and if you went around to a certain number of stalls and got their stamps or stickers in your yarn store passport and posted about it on social media, you went in the running to win one of the prizes. And I won, which is super, super cool. I've never won like a raffle or like a giveaway or anything like that before. So I was absolutely blown away and so honored to have won one of these prizes. And I actually got it in the mail yesterday. Again, to not sound like a broken record, I did an unboxing of this in my Perth vlog. So if you've seen that already, I'm sorry. I'm just going to quickly mention it here. Now, the first 2 prizes were from Prue. The first one was this Yarn Curator's Archive book, which looks very similar to the Yarn Store Passport, but basically is to track specific yarns. And I want to use this as a yarn stash tracker as well as like a plans and like a plan tracker. So put in, you know, what yarn I have, and then there's a little intended use section that I want to put, you know, my plans in and what needle size I want to use for that plan. So that's the Yarn Curator's Archive book from Prue. I think she sells that and the Yarn Store Passport on her website as well. So go check that out. Then I got a copy of her pattern, the Bramble Brioche Shawl. I'll put some better pictures here because this is a little crumpled. But that's just a brioche shawl designed by Prue, and she sent in the prize as well the yarn to make that shawl. So let me grab the yarn. Oh, the yarn is from Great Southern Yarn, and I went to their store multiple times whilst I was at the show and didn't buy anything because I was on a very strict budget. So to receive this yarn is so exciting to me, and this is all the yarn that I got. I'm not actually going to use these colors of yarn to make that shawl. My mum wants the shawl, but I think I'm going to knit it up in some different colors for her. So I'm going to be using this yarn for something else, and I don't really know what just yet, but I'm not in a rush to get out of my stash because I'm just excited to have some nice fancy yarns. So these are the 100% merino 4-ply fingering from Great Southern Yarn. This is the Margaret Preston's colorway. Beautiful. I got 2 of these. Beautiful pinky red colorway. So gorgeous. Then the green one is the same. It's the fingering 100% merino. This is Ellis Rowan, which is this beautiful like foresty mossy green sort of color. I'm all about green at the moment, obsessed with green colors, so really excited about this one. And then this one here is gorge, just gorge. This is the brown pot colorway, again in the fingering merino, and I just think the mix of these colors are just stunning. Let me take the ball bands off so you can really admire the mix of colors. There's like reds and oranges and yellows and greens in there. I feel so honored to have these 2 skeins of yarn. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them, but I think at the moment, I just want to look at them. Because look at that. I just want to feast with my eyes. So yeah, so grateful to have won that and honored to get these prizes. I'll link Great Southern Yarn and Prue down below as well, so you can check out their stuff. But yeah, I feel so happy and my heart is filled with joy. Yeah. Only a couple more acquisitions to show you. So obviously there was the yarn that my nan gave me. I think I have 5 balls of this Patterns totem yarn in the green. There's only one of these, so that's going to go in my little scrappy stash. But she also gave me 1 ball of the Patterns Herdwick 8 ply in the shade 9036. Again, I don't know if they make this anymore. I don't know where it's come from or how old it is, but it's just like this sky blue sort of color. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. Maybe we'll hold it with something else. I might use it to make the ombre beanie for me. I do like a bit of blue, so yeah, that's in my stash as well. All right, and there's one last proper acquisition that I'm so excited to share with you, because this is going to be cast on and knit up hopefully this month. And it is the sirdar cashmere merino silk. I have bought 5 or 6 balls of this yarn, and this is 75% merino, 20% silk, and 5% cashmere. And this is the meadow green colorway, and it's this beautiful, beautiful sage green color. I got this from a yarn store near where my parents live, with the intention of knitting this up in a cumulus blouse v-neck by Petite knit. So this is the buddy knit that I'm going to be doing with Morgan from Morgan Unraveled and Mickey, and we agreed to do the cumulus blouse. I've already knit it up before, and I was thinking of doing it in the O-neck version this time around, but I still really want an oversized v-neck cumulus blouse. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be sizing up a little bit and knitting up an oversized cumulus. I'm hoping that 6 balls is enough. I got gauge with a 5mm needle, and it's going to be a little bit of a looser gauge, which I'm really happy about. And I'm hoping that 6 balls is enough. If not, Mickey has bought the exact same yarn in the exact same colorway, and she bought that online from an Australian yarn store. So I'll link that down below, and if I run out, I can always just order from them. Morgan's going to be using a beautiful, beautiful pink yarn held with a mohair. So very, very different yarn construction compared to Mickey and I, but I'm so, so excited to see how hers turns out as well. We're going to be having a Zoom cast on party in the next week, which I'm super excited about. And if you want live updates on this top as I'm knitting it up, definitely go follow me on Instagram, because I'll probably post about it a lot on my story. Okay, after all that, we have reached the little knit and chat portion of my podcast. I am going to try and do some ribbing on this sock. So I think I'm just going to get situated first, but I may need to put it down at some point because it's very fiddly and my hands are very cold. So let me get a couple stitches in. Alrighty, so let's talk about what I have been watching recently. I wanted to talk first about some podcasts I've been watching. I've only got 2 to mention to you this month. The first one is Erica Taylor. I don't know if I've actually mentioned her in a video before. I think I have, but I love, love, love her videos. I love when she does like her plans videos, but as well as her vlogs. I find her videos really aesthetic and also really cozy to watch. She's just done a I guess an autumn/fall knitting plans video, and her colorwork socks are so inspiring to me. I want to do more colorwork in socks as well as beanies and sweaters and stuff, but especially socks, because I like the idea of having like a Halloween themed sock or like a Christmas themed sock, and she does a lot of that. So she's a very, very inspiring podcaster for me to watch, and I'm excited to see what she knits up throughout autumn. So go check her out, go give her a watch and a subscribe if you enjoy cozy content. Now the next one I have to suggest to you is actually a Korean knitter on YouTube, and I'm gonna try not to butcher their name. I'm so sorry if I say it wrong. All their videos are in Korean, so it's Hayo Jeong, and I find their videos so aesthetic. I find I really enjoy watching knitting vlogs that don't have much talking in them, which is why I make vlogs that don't really have a lot of talking, because that's what I like to watch. And so to watch vlogs that have like subtitles and stuff like that are perfect for me. And so to find a knitter who does very aesthetic videos with no real talking in it at all is a gold mine for me. They do project vlogs which I also love. I love seeing the process of a knitter from start to finish. I really want to make some project vlogs in the future, but I always kind of forget that I'm filming them. I tried with my porcelain sweater and it did not happen because I forgot that I was filming it. So I would pick up to knit and I would do, you know, a huge chunk because I'll work on it for hours. And then I'll realize, oh, I was supposed to film that. Or shit, I was supposed to update you guys like a month ago about this sweater and I never got around to filming an update. So I like watching project vlogs and they're very inspiring to me because I want to be able to do them. But for now, I think I'm just going to enjoy watching them. And yeah, this YouTuber is one who I love to watch. Please let me know what knitting podcasters you have been watching lately. I do need some more recommendations. I found some podcasters that I've actually followed over the last year have actually stopped making videos, which is a shame. As well as some like booktubers and stuff who were making videos have kind of disappeared. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below because I always love to find new podcasters, especially Australian ones. So I know there's a lot more Australians subscribe to my channel now. So hi, if you have any other Australian podcasters to suggest, please leave them in the comments down below. Now for television, I have been watching House of the Dragon. Obviously, I'm a major fantasy nerd and loved Game of Thrones, and I'm going to try and read Game of Thrones this year, hopefully. But I've been watching House of the Dragon and I've been loving it. Anything to do with like dragons. It reminds me of that Brittany Broski video. That's another YouTuber I've been watching a lot actually, is Brittany Broski. I think she's hilarious. I love her humor so much and her comedy style is so funny. So Brittany Broski I've been loving. But it reminds me of that video where she's like, I've been reading about dragons and fae. So anyway, anything with dragons and fantasy elements like that and epic fantasy I really love. So House of the Dragon has been great. No spoilers, I just want to gush about it a little bit. And I don't actually know what happens in the end. I know they talk about it in Game of Thrones, but I must have missed it or just cleared it out for brain space. So I kind of know what happens in the end, but I also don't remember all the details. So I'm really excited to see how the next season will play out. They kind of have like a finish date, you know, like there's an end to this story. So I don't think they'll be able to carry on for too much longer, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. I think there's only one episode left to come out for this season, which just breaks my heart. And I think I'm gonna have to go back and binge Game of Thrones again, just to fill that void. Then for reading, I haven't done much reading this month. I did have a Goodreads reading goal. I will put my Goodreads down below if you want to check it out. I read a lot of romance as well as fantasy. So if you're interested in seeing what books I have on my Goodreads, go check that out. But I haven't worked really towards my goal really at all this month, which is fine. I'm sort of taking the pressure off. I think it's easy to set these big goals based on your previous year's, I guess, performance. But, you know, I've picked up uni and I've been traveling a lot, so reading has just sort of slipped to the side, which is fine. I can knit and read at the same time if it's just stockinette. But as you've seen, I've got a lot of textured projects going on at the moment, so reading and knitting has not been a frequent occurrence as it usually is, which is fine. Currently, I'm reading The Lord of the Rings. I'm doing a buddy read with my brother. He actually just binge read, I should say, ACOTAR. He read the entire ACOTAR series in less than a month, in like a 2-week time span. And he was like, oh, I need more fantasy. I was like, well, let's read, you know, something that's sort of along the same lines as ACOTAR. Like, let's do Crescent City or something. He was like, no, let's do Lord of the Rings. So we've started reading Fellowship. I'm loving it. I love Lord of the Rings. I think I'm gonna have Lord of the Rings marathon in a couple of weeks with my friends who I did the Harry Potter marathon with. And I have read the Lord of the Rings books before, but they're monsters. They're huge, and they have so much detail. You know, Tolkien likes to, you know, describe a tree for 3 chapters. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's gonna take us a while to get through those, I think, but I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm enjoying reading it with my brother and seeing his reactions. As I said though, taking the pressure off with the reading, I'm enjoying knitting at the moment. That's where my joy is, and I'm sort of just following that, which I think is a good thing. So I'm going to put this down now. I did 2 rows on my sock, so that's good. I think I'm going to be filming a knit and chat. I probably have already filmed it by the time this video comes out. So we'll have much more time to work on that during the knit and chat. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed, and welcome to all the new faces here. I hope you stick around and I hope you enjoy the videos. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe. Also leave me a comment if you're new here, introduce yourself, and give me a follow on Instagram as well if you want to see regular updates on my knitting, because I do post there quite a lot. Alrighty, I hope you're safe and well wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!